I'm Ariana.
And my name's Ryan.
And this is
I Wear Grippy Socks.
She wears no strings, I wear grippy socks. She's in the psych ward, I'm in the detox.
A mental health podcast by two know-nothing millennials from a seriously non-clinical viewpoint.
This episode may contain graphic content, so please be advised.
And remember, thank you for being here.
Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of I Wear Grippy Socks. We're excited to have you this week.
That's right.
It's been another week here at High Tea Farms. But before we get into all that jazz, how are you feeling today, Ryan?
I feel pretty good today. I started a new job recently. Got my first paycheck.
Hey, make that
So,
money.
yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about things. I feel like there's been other exciting news, but...
Not too bad otherwise than that. Coming off your high from last week.
That's right, but not a figurative high.
Yes. The win, my bad.
And how are you doing today?
It's been, I feel like I've definitely been in a little bit of a rut the last month, so I've just kind of maybe carrying a little onwards with that. I don't know. Today is also, I guess, more of an emotional day for me as well, and that's kind of what I, wanted to talk about on the podcast today. It has been 3 years since we lost our grandma, Stella. So yeah, it's been, to say the least, just an emotional day as it probably should, or should not. I don't know. Just depends which way you grieve, for sure.
I guess that makes sense. I mean, I definitely, since we only came down here very seldom, my, I guess, interactions even with her were very limited. So obviously I didn't have the same kind of bond or connection that you guys did. So, I mean, honestly, I think that Papa mentioned it when we went to church the other day. If he hadn't mentioned it, I probably would not have even known, honestly.
Remembered. No, it's totally understandable. I feel like that's, that I was the same way when I lost my my grandfather on my other side. They live in England, so I only saw them, the once a year, maybe twice a year, if that was lucky. And it is definitely, there's some grieving there, but it's just obviously not the same. I know me and Stella, so a little pre-context. First off, we call her Stella because my grandma, she didn't like the word grandma.
Oh, well, I called her abuela.
Oh, yeah,
okay?
Technically, which is
so
grandma.
Maybe get your Spanish up a little bit, all right?
Yeah, this is true. But she didn't, I don't know why she accepted that in Spanish but not in English. I don't know.
Probably because she knew we didn't know what it meant.
Probably. It just
It just sounded so bad. Like, she was like... It doesn't even sound
it's good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even remember when Mom, we just always called, I've always just called her Stella. There was never, I know it's so weird when sometimes when I talk about my grandma, I'm like, yeah, Stella. And I'm like, I just feel like it takes some personal, touch away from it. I'm like, I'm not you know what I mean? I don't know.
Right.
This is what she wanted to be called. This was by her request that she wanted to be called her by her name. So it's just different, but she's always been my Stella. I see, when I say Stella, it makes me think of grandma. When I say her name, it doesn't say, you know what I mean? It's grandma to me. Stella means almost, I feel like grandma.
Right.
But I was super close with her at the end of when she got pretty sick in that past year when leading up to obviously her passing. So I was really I got really close to Stella and Papa. For a little context, my grandma, she was 92 when she passed, so she lived this beautiful life. And wanting to bring this up, it was just making me reflect on life and what it is. And around this time 3 years ago when she passed, my stepsister, she actually had my nephew literally 2 days before she passed. And I thought it was very it was symbolic and very emotional, this weird one life is coming into and as one is going. And it was definitely beautiful, but there's a lot of mixed emotions. I don't know, I think grief is it's a hard one. And to understand how people deal with grief, we all just process it so differently. And it's definitely been a weird thing, looking back, even just thinking that this morning when I was just a train wreck this morning, crying on the way and to my doctor's appointment, and just how those emotions still felt so it had just happened, and it's not like that every day. I don't,
right.
I carry her, I wear her ring all the time on my hand, and I know she's always with me, or that's what I think. But that sparked, I guess, a conversation with us, and just talking about grief and how we process our grief, and how each person processes it so different, and what is grief, like what is death. And I don't know, I feel like I come from a weird, not weird, just a different upbringing in the sense of not being like around religion. Like I was never, our grandma is Catholic, and so is our grandfather, but both of my parents don't practice any religion. And so death is I wouldn't say weird. I don't know if I look at more on a scientific notion. I don't know. Death, I don't know.
Scientific, huh?
I wouldn't say, I don't know.
Scientific.
Like I grew up, obviously, like I love the idea of like, when I think of passing, even for myself, and the beautiful nature of like passing and being like reincarnated, and then, I mean, not reincarnated, my bad. Well, that wouldn't be terrible, but being buried like with a tree, you know, being my ashes, and, you know, bringing purpose to life, and like that like giving my body back to nature. But I don't know. I feel in the last couple of years, I've just definitely, death and the perception of death has, I don't know, shifted for me. And I don't know. I'm very fortunate. I'm going to knock on the table. I haven't lost, you know, my grandma obviously was a big loss for me, but I'm pretty fortunate not to have lost, you know, a parent or even, you know, a best friend. The stuff that you've gone through, I get them, you know what I mean? Like I know once again, it's just hard. Like grief is hard. I don't know how we process it sometimes.
It is an interesting, and also, guys, for the record, shout out to our grandma, abuela. I don't think we've mentioned it. She was from Nicaragua.
She was.
So that was another thing that made it, I don't want to say difficult, because, you know, when you love, you know, you don't need to say anything. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously I knew, you know, she called me lover boy. But I think for me, you know, obviously I did not grieve the loss of Stella to the extent that even I grieved my friends that I have lost. And I guess for one, because, I mean, I hardly saw Stella for the most part. I mean, I did not really have that much of a relationship with her, but it's funny because obviously, you know, like Papa and Stella or whatever, they're Catholic. So Mom, like, we grew up going to Catholic church, and so when I was young, my idea of death, you know, you get this like idea of heaven and hell and like this eternal damnation. And I didn't even like to say the word hell in church because I thought it was a curse word. And I thought I would go to hell for saying it, you know. I was like, that's a real catch-22 that they got me with right there.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was until, like, you know, I grew up going to Catholic church. And then I feel like a lot of religious people, you know, in the Bible Belt, they were like the worst kinds of people. So I was like, fuck all y'all, for a lack of a better terminology. But a lot of the people were the most hypocritical, judgmental people I've ever met in my entire life. And I was like, if y'all want to play this shit. So then I became like a hardcore atheist. And I thought, I did not believe in any kind of afterlife. And now I don't necessarily believe in, like, I don't believe in an afterlife because I don't really believe that there is I feel like there maybe is just life itself. I don't know that there's like an afterlife. I feel like it's just like life continuing.
That makes sense. I know. I definitely see that. I think there's, you know, I don't know. There's so many. I'd looked up like all these different, like, I feel it's so intriguing, all these ways, the different cultures, and they, the way they perceive what, you know, is it continuous? Is it not? Is it something that is, I think the scariest thing literally is seeing how scared people get sometimes though of when they talk about death. And like, I feel like our, you know, as you said, you know, you grew up in the Catholic Church and our grandparents are Catholic. Our grandfather, Papa, he's super like so scared of death. He's so scared of going to hell. And he says, you know, they repent their sins or whatever, and they tell the person, and he's still so scared of, I think, you know, the church has just so much scared him of
I think that's kind of heartbreaking, honestly.
Oh, it's sad, yeah.
I think it's super heartbreaking because, I mean, he's a decent man. He shouldn't be so sketched out about going to hell. I mean, because I've been there. I mean, when you grow up, like, in the Catholic Church or whatever, the thought of being eternally damned to hell, being told that when you're a child has got to be one of the most fucked up traumatic things that I literally can even think of.
Yeah.
I mean, to be told that if you sin, if you're flawed as a human being, that you are going to roast in some kind of fire. And then I think too, I don't even know that church even I think people also just adapted that idea from some other book, like Dante's Inferno or something. I don't think that like the idea of hell even like that existed in the Bible, and like
Go further on.
but I think religion is maybe even used as a way to like keep people in check, honestly. I mean, you'll act pretty right if you think that you're going to be damned for an eternity.
Well, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like connection with, okay, the holidays coming up and like Santa Claus and that kind of that same thing, right? We're telling kids, to be good, behave, or they won't receive a present essentially for Christmas, or in this case, you could eventually like be, damned for the rest of your life. I don't know. I don't know. Religion definitely is a hard one. I know we're talking. I feel like there's a broad scope, and there's different avenues of what they believe, like hell and heaven, and the afterlife. And like I said before, I was raised in a non-religious pretty much environment. My mom attempted to a couple of times brought us to church, and she said that she was pretty much like bullied for the lack, I guess, thereof. But I always believe, I think there is something powerful believing in something. So I never want to ever like, belittle someone's, beliefs, once again, as long as they're being like, your true self. I know that's hard, once again, I guess, when we start talking about religion and what, I don't know. Obviously, whoever's listening, I totally respect what you, believe in, and as long as we're doing it, and anything I feel like I say is like in a healthy, safe manner. But there is some scary, I guess, points to it, like just looking at some of the things that get, I don't know, manipulate. I feel like the Bible's I don't know, I probably could go on a whole tangent at the moment, and I don't know, maybe it's because I feel like there is a lot associated in religion, obviously, when we're talking about like the beginning of life and end of life, and all things that, that's the start of, or the continuous on of something, I guess, as you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like because, okay, when you're, I don't know, I feel like here in America, I don't know how it is everywhere else, but I feel like we have just like this weird, like, maybe it's everywhere, it's just like a fascination with like death. But I don't think that I ever really, because I was born going to church. Well, I wasn't born. I mean, I don't know. I always got baptized.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, you're given this set of beliefs, and it's like, there's really no reason while you're young to ever question. You're like, I got all these people telling me this. I mean, there must be something to it. And it's funny how you just like, it's funny how you just like, you're given like this set of beliefs. And it wasn't until, like, I really started looking into other shit where I was like, wait a minute. Like, because I think there's something, I don't believe in organized religion. Well, I mean, I believe it, like, it exists, obviously. But, like, I think that the second you try to, like, classify yourself as, like, anything, you're missing the point. I personally don't believe there's any, like, separation between anything. I think that a lot of religions at the end of the day are really saying the same thing.
I do agree for sure on this. I feel like I think what also, once again, someone coming from the out, I feel like sort of from the outside looking in a way. Obviously, there's a big broad scope of that, but not like it seems like everyone has the same goal, but yet it seems so far off from one another, which makes It
really doesn't make much sense. It seems like they're all. I think like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, like they all worship the same. It's like the same God, but just like in like a different like
way, right?
Font or something.
That's what I think really picks up my interest the most. Like I don't, but yet people get so you know what I mean, like exhausted on this one idea, but yet these things are pretty much from the same parameters.
Right. I mean, they're not that. Yeah, they're not. And I think for me, like going back to talking about grief. I think the point I was trying to make kind of, and it was like the way that my beliefs have changed throughout the years have like changed the way that I handle grief. I mean, in terms of really like dealing with death, like when I was the hardcore atheist and I didn't believe in like, I thought you die, you rot in the ground. I mean, that was a very not great time in my life. I really was just unbelievably depressed. And then like I feel like I got a better kind of understanding on life and death and started to look into it more. And then when my first buddy Michael died, I feel like I wasn't necessarily like as shook because I didn't necessarily view death as a bad thing. And I almost felt not obligated, but it's like people expect to almost see you grieving. Yeah. It's like it's like if you don't grieve, it's almost like you're some kind, like you didn't care.
Yeah, you didn't care that much.
Concerned. Yeah. It's like I don't know if that made any sense because like when Michael passed away, I was staying at my parents and they were like, "You're depressed. You're so depressed." I was like, "I'm not that depressed." I mean, I know it's a depressing situation. I don't want to say it's not like depressing. It shook me to my core because I had never lost anybody close to me. Mm-hmm. But at that time, I had like a whole different perspective.
Of what?
I think it changed. Like if he had died maybe even 6 months earlier when I was still in that real bad phase, I don't know how I would have grieved,
Yeah.
I could see.
You would have, yeah.
I really don't.
I think that's why, I don't know. I've definitely, like you were saying, like, I feel like I've recently been more just questioning or looking or observing what the grief is and afterlife and the whole concept of religion. And I don't know, because I do think they do go hand in hand because, when you think of like, when they talk about like guardian angels and all this, and you want to believe in this beautiful thing, you know what I mean? Like the constant, like, they're looking down on me or they're doing these things. And that part is somewhat, so beautiful.
I don't find that comforting.
No?
Unless it's in like some kind of like, I mean, I don't know, like people like think that people are like, I mean, when they say watching down, I mean, we talk, like I don't want people watching what I got going on. If that,
yeah, I could say, with your activities, yeah.
But that's one thing. I mean, that's been I don't necessarily believe like that our soul carries on as like as we think of ourselves. I think that we just go back and join back with like the infinite and eternal consciousness that we came from. And I think that everybody at the end of the day is ultimately really like the same person, and that we should grieve, we should be either as much as upset or as little as upset, for everybody.
For losing that life. Yeah.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that. I definitely see that. I think, that everything has like, it's almost like I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Like everything has, like a purpose. Everything has, intentions in one way. And then like, so we all are connected because there's a point. I don't know. But isn't that somewhat, this is where it's hard, where everything I feel like also flows sort of into the same, obviously different than someone being, we're all the same, but also being like our souls. I don't know. These are like such gray areas for me because I really haven't like dived. And once again, I've never even talked about it that much because I also wasn't grew up in a religious. So I think like death was not something discussed. I don't know, we really bring it up, but like regularly, or like the thought or of it being like what after would be for me.
I never, I guess it wasn't like, I guess I had this idea, but it's not, it wasn't really like talked about, Mm-hmm. It was like heaven or hell. Yeah. That's it. There's no other.
No in-betweens.
There's like no other in-betweens. And it wasn't until my good friend Michael passed away that I ever even really looked, because honestly, I think that what happened, because we were very close, and I'd lost like my great grandpa, like my grandma's sister as well, my great aunt. But I mean, it wasn't, obviously the same. And like, I don't know that I could have lost anyone closer to me at that time than Michael. And then that was when I really was like, yo, I need answers.
See, but that's also that's the other thing, because I feel like, you went searching for these answers, because also I think when you lose someone at a young, you were what, 20, 21? 20. So even at such a younger age. And then so when you're looking at death in the way of, Stella, who's 92, lived an amazing life. She obviously has her trial and tribulations like anyone, but, she's dying at a age that's you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
good. You know?
acceptable.
And
You
so,
don't, you're not, it's not a surprise.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Versus
you're like,
someone who's
yeah.
like 20 and like has so much still to live and has so much to give to this world. And yet I think that's also like then the questioning part, and that goes into the religious part for me, and like figuring like who, you know, and you know, it's hard. Like what you're saying is, you know, also beautiful now, you know, looking back, you know, being like everyone is, you know, one and fluid, but even like, but how do we know why do people get taken away from us too soon? Or like, I don't know, maybe that's too of a broad question. I don't know. That's
Right.
also my part where, you know,
But again,
religion.
I don't think, but I don't think that anybody is different. I don't think that, I think that we are all ultimately the same energy. I think that we are all life. I don't think I'm Ryan and you're Ariana. I think that we are the ones observing. So like
The
in
soul?
a sense, it's like, okay, why did that happen to that person? But I think in another sense that we are all the same person. So I mean, you got to look at that. Yeah, you know, I don't know if that makes.
No.
I think that we're the ones, you know, observing reality, the ghost in the shell or whatever. Like, but I see what you're saying, but I also just don't think that there's really like a separation.
Connection.
I don't. Yeah.
I know. I would like to definitely dive more in on. We were talking earlier. Obviously, like Buddhism definitely piques my interest, but even like learning more about like below the surface of some of these like cultural points, and even we were talking about not even related to death or, you know, birth or whatever, and even the, you know, wedding ceremonies and all these things, and the way the different people practice their religion and how intriguing. Like, I would just love to hear other people's perspectives as well. Like hearing your perspective and you know, the way you view the world is also, you know what I mean? Like it definitely piques my interest. And same with like a lot of these other, like, I guess, cultures and religions, like understanding the way they view it. And I don't know. It would be cool to get more of a, I don't know. I guess we don't
Right.
we don't really also push, I think, in the States, like you said, you know, you're taught this one religion from
Right.
like the get-go, and then you don't really get the opportunity
Right.
to learn about any of these other you know.
And I also would just like to point out that I don't believe that Buddhism is necessarily a religion. For the record, no, I mean, I'm not trying to like.
No.
I think it's important to view it more as a philosophy
Okay.
than a religion, because I think that it
Does it fall into the same category?
kinda. I mean, I really think that that's. I mean, I think a lot of its tenets are. I mean, but it's weird because okay, like a lot of Buddhism comes from Hinduism, but my problem is like I don't like to call myself anything. I think the second that you call yourself
label.
a member of anything, you're immediately cutting yourself off from the rest, and I don't think that is accurate. I think that the entire universe exists within our consciousness, honestly.
Okay. I see that. I definitely I definitely struggle. I feel like something always wanting like the inclusion of everyone. Like I feel like have this like fight of like, you know, this push and pull, like everyone should be inclusive, everyone shouldn't hate, everyone, obviously no one should hate, but like, you know, we should automatically be connected. But sometimes I don't know how, I don't know where I'm necessarily going with this thought, but like, I don't know, religion and the way we click with people and the way we process things, like, you know, is it needed? I know you're talking more of like Buddhism not being as religion, it's more of like you're who you
Right.
are, or I guess, right, I would say more sort of, you know, so like having understanding, I don't know, maybe I'm going now off on a little bit
Yeah.
side tangent here,
I
but
think to me, like the idea, it's like the individual self does not exist. I think there will be a time. I mean, even science. I think that science and spirituality honestly go hand in hand. I really don't. I literally think there is no separation at all. I mean, scientific, like literally between anything.
yeah, that's
I
what,
think consciousness is non-local. I don't think that it exists within the body.
and that wouldn't be a sciencey thing.
I
No.
guess. Well, no, that would be kind of science.
More on the science. That's
I
where
think-
like, I don't know, but like, you know, coming from like just generally like curious is like I don't know, because I didn't grow up more religious. My mother is more brain nerdy sort of, I guess, you know, she definitely believes more in the,
Right.
you
See,
know.
what's so funny to me though is like your mom believes in the science. Well, no offense, Teresa, but and other people as well. A lot of people believe in the science to like the problem with science studying consciousness is you cannot perform, you can't study consciousness with the same like, that's not, how can we understand more than our brains perceive if we're not like, I forget, there's one guy, he's a famous scientist, but he has a quote, he's like, the first sip, from basically the study of natural science, but will make you an atheist, but at the bottom of the cup you find God.
Okay.
And I believe 100% that God exists, not, though, let me reiterate, in a man in the sky kind of thing.
Okay.
But I am 100% convinced. I really think, at some point in time, science will catch up, maybe.
Yeah. I think, I know. It would definitely be to see more things like try to come together on, I don't know, studies. Like you said, like maybe there's no studies. You can't really connect it with.
I was working on my Xanifesto.
Maybe we should hear the Xanifesto.
Maybe.
Might need to bring it out.
I could do some convincing, but...
It's definitely, it's interesting to see different perspectives of like how we perceive life and, in religion and, or not, lack of, or who we are. And I think that, your perspective is definitely a different one and definitely interesting, not in a bad way, but something that definitely could be like,
it's really not that different.
No, but talked about it. Not a lot of people, I think, discuss that. I can, rattle off like a lot of like that I know about, not rattle off, but I knew about basic things about other religions. But to be honest, like the base premises of like even, all that stuff, I really never ever thought about really since being...
there's really no reason to.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, so I don't, maybe bringing it in and talking about it more is also something really good, because I think at the end of the day, everyone, we do find comfort though in what everything has like connected to in religion and death and all that stuff. We find comfort in believing that, that there's there's something there, something to.
Oh yeah, most yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think at the end of the day, that's most what religion is, and feeling that extra comfort of something, something greater.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think that obviously I've definitely, being someone once again not coming from religion, I've definitely also felt like I've always sounded, I think it's nice, like that's the whole saying, is feeling like I'm gonna be okay when I get where, and that's why though I think it's the double-ended sword or whatever they say, because then you look at the heaven and the hell, but we should be able to go, everyone should be able to go to that beautiful place, or if that's just continuous and on, like you say, like
heaven and hell are states of consciousness.
Exactly. We just gotta flow.
We can access it at any point in time.
Yeah,
I've lived in them both.
I think people just like a good scare tactic.
100%. People just like to be told what to do, and don't get out of line.
It's definitely.
No offense to anybody out there. I have some trauma from the religious community. 100%. No offense if you are religious.
Yeah, and I think, but this brings it that, if anyone else, like we're saying, if anyone's listening, be open to hearing, or at least I for sure am open to hearing different perspectives of, your beliefs. I don't know. I maybe I might be opening a can of worms here, but like,
no,
I'm definitely, I don't think, like I said, I've never been like, something's called me. I don't think I've ever felt comfortable calling myself an atheist, but I've never been like, right. Oh, this girl. I feel like I don't have a label, I guess. I don't know. And maybe that is also the best thing in one way. But I definitely am intrigued, and I definitely am, and it's interesting to see the way people process stuff, and like this, as we're talking more specifically about grief and how the different cultures and stuff is. For Stella, she went out believing she was, she told my mom she was pretty much on her deathbed for about like solid 2 weeks, and at a time she's Catholic, so the father came and gave her sacraments, and she at one point told my mom that she was ready to, because she could see her mom and her dad and her and so she was ready to go. And so I think in that moment you do find calmingness, and I don't know, did she feel that peace because of obviously the religion, something so different than Papa, who feels like he's so scared he's gonna burn, versus Stella, who is ready for those like to go see her family. I don't know, religion, it's hard because especially in those moments, those pure moments, like seeing her near the end, she was ready, you know what I mean? She was.
I think we need to be that ready 100%. of the time. I think that there is nothing more important in life than getting prepared for death. I really think that that's the only, and I think that the transition into the afterlife is extremely important. I mean, I'll probably still die behind a dumpster somewhere.
No.
But I'm going to be ready.
Yeah, I think there is some beauty definitely in like, and just not embracing like it's going to happen like it is that it's going to happen, and just being, I think though, if you're at peace with your life constantly, if you don't feel like, then that's the way I want to go out too. Like if I feel, I guess, like happy and content just the way Stella did, whether that is now or whatever age, I think that is obviously, I think, the ultimate goal of happiness in life, But
I think that's the difficult thing I don't know. We're out here striving. A lot of people are not happy with where they are. A lot of people, if they died today, they would not be happy with the way things have turned out.
I know.
I'm not going to say that I would. I really feel like, I think that we have to die before we die. We have to just come to terms 100%. And then everything else after that. Because I think that all fears come ultimately from just the fear of death. I mean, something as simple as social anxiety could stem from the fear of death, because you just, in the back of your mind, like,
I'm being executed.
You're like something, something could go wrong and, I'm going to die.
Yeah. No, mass panic, hysteria, that comes from generally fear of.
Honestly, shrooms and Deemster, shout out to shrooms and DMT. They completely changed my life. I can't believe I waited this long to even bring them up, but they completely shifted my perspective on life, the universe, death.
It's definitely a topic I think we'll be diving a bit more into.
100%.
And I'm definitely, like, for me, I feel like I'm a very, like, in the middle, open book and ready to, like, learn and maybe actually take, I don't know. Maybe I also might learn more and I might hate it more. I don't know. I have no idea. But, I'm think
skeptical.
I'm willing to hear new things, and I think, that's why, as we get older and you just become more not to what, like, society puts upon us. So
fuck society.
Exactly. Fuck society. And, as long as I'm going to try, I think from this podcast and everything, we're trying to just be our authentic selves.
That's right. We're just letting it fly.
Hell yeah. And I think that's a big part. And I hope Stella is looking down at both of us, or not looking down, or is just here, happy something. Wherever she is, doing her thing. I don't know which way. That's so weird saying it, because now I'm like thinking about rephrasing my wording. But, and I'm excited to see also where that part and that journey goes for me personally, because I do, we're getting to the age where I swear, it's just sad every time I sign on, I'm seeing one of my friends' parents pass away, or something's happening, and I'm just, I'm not, it's like, like we said, I'm trying to get ready for those, it's not even just accepting, because, some of that part in death and grief, is not accepting that you're dying, accepting that you're, someone else is dying. Or
right. I mean, I've been ready to die forever. Yeah, it's everyone else dying that sucks. That's some fucking, I hate that shit.
It's like, shit, please.
Shit's annoying.
Yeah.
I think I'm at the point now where it's just like, I'm just unfazed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. With you, I couldn't imagine. But we're gonna learn, and you know what? That's what I'm excited. Hopefully, you guys will also come along with us in this.
That's right.
Journey of kind of, I know Ryan already had his miniature. I don't know if it's miniature, but had his spiritual awakening.
I've disregarded it anyway, so.
So hopefully in the next couple months we'll be able to go on a better go on a journey of learning.
That's right, because I'm going to start ketamine therapy soon. All right, everybody. Stay tuned for that. I would just like to say thank you to everybody for listening. Ariana, you have been killing it.
So are you. We're excited.
We are very excited. Thank you, guys. We are still in our beginner stages, I would say. Yeah. We're getting there.
Yeah,
Hopefully we got the video going. I mean, we're killing it, let's be honest.
We're doing good. We're proud of ourselves.
Anyway, much love, everybody. And as always, thank you for being here.